Hello tankers and welcome to another World of Tanks video with me, Sir 10 Death. This is a new one for me. Today I'm looking at the grind. It's October and the top of the tree tank for this month is the T110E3. And some of you might be wondering, should I bother myself to grind all the way to this? Now, while I'm showing some replay footage, I'm going to be showing two replays here, actually both from the new Grand Battles, and both played by myself within 1 hour of each other, which happened to be on the same match. And this one here you're seeing right now was my first ever time on this match. I've just sped up the gameplay until something starts to happen, and while that's taking place I'm not really going to be commentating on the game itself. I'm just going to be talking about the tank. So some of you might be wondering to yourself, well, what's good about this, what's bad about it, is it worth getting, is it not worth getting? A couple of things about this. Firstly, it's slow. When I put this bout into normal speed, which is around about now, it's going pretty slow. It's actually the slowest tier 10 TD. But what it doesn't have in mobility, it makes up for in other areas. So it's pretty slow, and it turns slowly as well, and it's quite a big target, so it's quite easy to hit. However, it's got a very workable gun. I'm not going to argue that it's the best gun that TD has, but it's a decent gun. It does it good enough, and you're going to see in these two replays, you're going to see first replay where I'm using exclusively the armor piercing ammo, and the second replay when you're going to see something totally different, another way to play this tank. So I'm just getting a position here. The enemy's got an IS-7 and I'm just looking for shots, and look at that, he's going to poke out. I'm aiming in there, boom, big shot straight in. So the gun works pretty well. It's also got remarkably good frontal armor. It has got a couple of weak spots, most notably its lower plate, but its lower plate's actually really quite thin, and if you can play like I'm playing here, where you're hiding it because there's a rock in front of me, then you can hide it pretty well and often bounce shots. Now you're going to see in both replays that I managed to bounce a significant amount of damage and also managed to put out a fair amount as well. So the gun, yeah, the gun does an average of, with armor piercing ammo, average of 750 damage through 285 mil of armor, which is it's pretty good. Not necessarily the best, certainly not the worst. There's another example of the gun going to work, backing off while I'm reloading to hide that lower plate. And it's also, mine reloads in 14.6 seconds. Now I do have a 100% crew, and I also have on this a gun rammer, and I also run it with vertical stabilizers just to speed up the aiming a little bit. And the other thing that I use, which is a little bit contentious, I use toolbox. The reason for that is because in games that are more open on certain maps, the way enemies will try and get rid of you is by tracking you and getting around you. There's another E3. Now I'm looking there and I'm getting one into one of the frontal weak spots. You notice at the same time as he bounces on me, I put one through his cupola at the back. I do take a shot from the left, T57 heavy. All I do is just turn towards him, so give him my frontal armor, and I don't think he's going to play anymore. He's just going to stay away from me. So I've already done myself a couple of thousand damage, taken one shot, but I'm not really worried about that at all. Yeah, so it's got great armor from the front. The side and the rear armor are of course pretty awful. You don't really want to be taking anything on pointing the side or the rear towards them, because you'll lose and you'll lose pretty fast. So it's all about the front armor and the decent gun. Because of this armor and this gun, I would strongly argue that this is the words I'm going to use are one of the most forgiving tier 10 TDs. And what I mean by forgiving is, another way of saying that might be noob friendly. Now, as a general rule, you wouldn't be considered a noob if you're playing tier 10 battles, because you've been around in the game long enough, unless you've been on eBay anyway. And that means that you can get away with a few more errors in this. Other tier 10s, like maybe things like the Grill 15, and thinking of other ones such as the compadre of this one, the T110E4, which is the turreted version, you don't get away with so much. So yeah, this one's a bit more forgiving. You can make errors and still actually have a half decent game. This is a juicy shot here because this one's just skittering across there. Oh no, it's not. It's not. I was thinking of an earlier shot, which I shot the Obsher 268 there. Thinking about the grind though, what's the line like? Well, I'm not going to talk about the first 2 or 3 tanks, because to be honest, you can play through tiers 1 to 3 in an hour, should be so inclined. But thinking about tier 4 up over, tier 4 you've got yourself the T40. Tier 40 is quite a nice TD. It's not bad. It's got a choice of a couple of good guns. You can play one that's a more punchy gun, or you can play more of a howitzer style. It does have good view range, not very much armor. It's not my favourite tier 4 TD. That one I would probably go to the Hetzer. Although I have to say at the minute I'm also quite enjoying the Chinese line, and I've been oh, here you'll see that T110E3's lower plate goes straight through. Yeah, I would say the headset's probably the best in my opinion at Tier 4, but the T40 sorry, is not a bad one at all. Tier 5 we want the M10 Wolverine, which is a turreted TD. It's not bad as well. It's not great, it's not fantastic, it's okay, it's playable. Tier 6 you go on to the Jackson. The Americans have got two TD lines, one as the Jackson, one as the Hellcat. They're a bit of the antithesis of each other, because the Hellcat is all about pace, no armour, and the Jackson's all about a bit of armour and a bit of pace. Now I've just switched to a different gameplay now. In this entire second game I am running deliberately the entire tank with high explosive ammo, HE, just to show a different way this can be played. Now this is a bit of a cheap shot because that grill had tipped on his side, so it was an easy one, but you're going to see what this can do. If you're looking for a way of playing this game for absolute giggles and fun, have a go playing this with pure HE. It's got a 155mm cannon, so it's going to do something pretty much all the time. HE is very unpredictable. It can be good, it can be bad, but you're going to see how I can put this to work here. And it's a way that I use this from time to time for fun, and also other ones like my T95 at Tier 9. You will get some people, purists, going and saying, but using HE's point and click, there's no skill involved. Maybe so. I play this game for fun. I've always said I'm not the best player in the world, I'm not the worst player in the world. I play to have a laugh. And I'm about to have a laugh here because over there is a very well dug in, hull down T110E3. The opposite of myself, and he's behind some rocks. If I was using armor piercing, I'd be wasting my time completely. But I'm not using armor piercing. I can afford just to aim at him, point, and click. And click. There it is. Now I haven't done very much there. 100 and something damage. You might mock that. But HE also gives you module damage. It gives you crew damage. So right now, I've done a little bit of damage to his tank. I've possibly knocked out one of his people. I've possibly knocked his track off. He's just bounced on me. That's me bouncing frontally his shot. And yeah, high explosive here as the bounce from the 215B. I'm not fully aimed in yet. That's a complete miss by the, and another bounce from another tank, and then that one's a really low roll, but it's another one doing a little bit of module damage every time. And these things all add up, and all the time I'm bouncing damage for fun. Anyway, I digress. I was talking about the line I'd got as far as Tier 6, the Jackson. The Jackson's not bad, it's got a bit more armour than the Hellcat, but personally I think the Hellcat's more fun to play. Tier 7's a bit of an unsung hero. The T25AT, you don't see many of them around, and actually it can be a very good tank. It's sneaky, it's got a low profile, it's quite quick, it uses the gun that's on the T29, the one that can do an alpha damage of 320 at Tier 7, which is pretty respectable. Another bounce there, by the way. And yeah, it's a nice tank. From Tier 8 up over, you get to learn the playstyle that you'll find eventually in this tank. The T28 is a slow-moving, heavily armoured, or at least heavily armoured at the front tank, and that's how this plays. So you'll start to learn how you're going to play the E3 from Tier 8. At Tier 9 you get to the T95, the Doom Turtle, which I still keep in my garage and I still use from time to time in that style I was talking about earlier, where I run pure HE on it. But it's not quite as formidable as it once was. The T95 used to probably be seen as one of the most scary tanks in the game. What you're going to see coming up soon, by the way, is what happens to a lightly armoured tank when it parks itself in front of a cannon that is shooting HE. Now, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it just suddenly popped in my mind and I remembered it. So we are pushing on a little bit here. This game ultimately ended up being a defeat, and I'm not playing the entire replay, I'm just showing you what you can do, because I can hardly see anything of this tank, but look at this. 435 damage using high explosive through the turret on something that would certainly have bounced had I been using armor piercing. So, yeah, T95 is good fun. I like the T95, and it's slow as molasses, but yeah, a good way of just faffing about and having good fun. These are tanks that you can play in the serious sense, using armor piercing, using premium ammo if you particularly want to, but if you just want to have a chuckle and do some damage, try them sometime with pure high explosive. It works pretty well. I actually got my ace tanker in this tanker 3 or 4 months ago now in a game where I used pure high explosive, and just now this is where a Grill 15 drives in front of an HE cannon and parks. Boom! Now I did 1063 damage, somebody else took the kill instantly. He was gone from pretty much high health to low health in a click. straight away. So back to the original grind then. Would I recommend this? Yes is my answer. In my opinion, it is just my opinion. Somebody might go and type a comment saying, you're wrong, Sir 10, there are better tier 10 TDs. Yeah, there are certainly faster ones. There are ones that have a better gun handling. There are sneakier ones like that Swedish one, Straswagen. But yeah, for something that's more fun to play and quite forgiving, you can get away with some errors and things, I would recommend it, and I would suggest it's not a bad grind at all, and the line to play along is quite a lot of fun. Anyway, I'm signing out now. I'm just going to show you the end plates from the first game. It's only a 2 tier 1, second class mastery, but look at that, 3,000 experience, 67,000 credits earned. I was showing this for one reason, that you'll see that I did 5,700 damage, and the other E3 did about the same. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and as ever, do subscribe. It's me signing out. Goodbye.